Today I'm attempting to please the YouTube gods by doing a follow-up to my most popular video, corals that could live in a toilet. So I'm gonna give you a couple of indestructible fish to go with those indestructible corals. I give you, my friends, 7 fish that could survive Armageddon. All of the fish in this video are captive bred, meaning that they are not pulled from the ocean. And that's because that is the direction that I'm trying to take with my channel. I feel like captive bred fish and aquaculture corals are the future of the hobby, and you know, be the change you wish to see in the world. I'm gonna try to only buy captive bred freshwater and saltwater fish from here out. Definitely gonna only buy aquaculture corals, and I'm gonna try to stick to captive bred fish. You guys don't hate me too much if I do at some point buy a wild caught tang or something. But I'm gonna try, just because I believe that's what we should do as a hobby. The first fish on this list is a hard hitter, the toughest of the tough, the meanest of the mean. It's Bing Bing. Maroon clownfish will be the first to rise from the ashes of a nuclear winter. They are hardy, temperamental, not picky eaters, and man, they come in a dazzling array of colors. I mean, just look at that ultra lightning. I recommend that you keep a maroon clown pair in a 55-gallon aquarium, though there are many people that say you can keep them in 30 gallons. The reason you can keep a 6-inch maroon clownfish in a 30-gallon, but a 6-inch tang needs a 125-gallon, is because the maroon clownfish are not active swimmers. They usually stay pretty close to their anemone, whereas tangs or some other active swimmers want to swim everywhere. They are an excellent reef fish, and they will not eat your toilet corals. However, there is a catch. Maroon clowns are as mean as the spawn of Satan. If you plan to keep them with other fish, you should add them last. Now there are a couple other things you can do to diffuse aggression. You can keep them in pairs and buy them an anemone. Because when you give them an anemone, they stay close to it, and if you keep them in pairs, they can't pick on other fish if they're picking on each other. I'll shoot you straight. Damselfish suck. You'll watch this video, go buy your damselfish, and then wish it would die because it nips the fins of your prized yellow tang. All of that beautiful color comes at a cost. Damselfish were the first fish to come into the hobby in the early 1960s simply because they refused to die. Today they are a universally hated fish, however, I believe they have a place in the hobby. In the tank, a first-time saltwater aquarist. For a guy just learning the ropes, these are an excellent fish just because of how tough they are and the fact that they are just not picky at all. They'll just eat anything. They are also great for reef tanks. They might attack everything else that moves, but they will blissfully pass by your corals. They can also be kept in a 30-gallon aquarium, which is a good size for beginners, not too big, not too small. This is a fish that you will definitely regret. However, if you are not sure you have your water right, not sure if you've done everything correct, or you're just nervous about dropping a bunch of money on a fish, a damselfish will serve you well. A yellowtail damselfish was actually my first saltwater fish, and I really enjoyed it until my fuzzy dwarf lionfish accidentally ate it. Pajama cardinalfish, in my ever so humble opinion, looked to me like a fish that fell out of the ugly tree before getting beat by the ugly stick. However, what this fish lacks in aesthetics, it makes up for in durability. Pajama cardinalfish could survive a 6-year-old's first attempt at saltwater fish keeping. This fish compensates for being as ugly as sin by being as peaceful as a dove. They will not nip other fish, they won't look at your corals, and they can be kept in schools. Reef safe, friendly, schooling, but ugly. They don't need a huge tank either. You can keep 3 or 4 in a 30-gallon and they'll do just fine. It is important to note that pajama cardinalfish do not do well on their own. They need the company of their brethren. Oh, if only there was another cardinalfish with similar compatibility and hardiness. Oh wait! There is. With the past few fish on this list, I've been like, it's tough, but it's mean. It's tough, but it's ugly. However, the Banggai cardinalfish receives Nathan Smith's How to Train Your Fish full seal of approval. Banggai cardinals are reef safe. not picky, hardy, and they're friendly. They are quite literally the perfect fish. They are an incredible fish, but they have a bit of a sad story. They became popular early in the hobby, but they were over-harvested and then pushed to the brink of extinction, similar to white cloud mountain minnows. However, this fish is now captive bred and widely available. And the good news is, after these fish became captive bred, the wild collections kind of ceased, and today, the Banggai cardinalfish populations are making a comeback. Banggai cardinalfish are an example of why the hobby needs to continue to move away from wild-caught fish to captive-bred fish. And while captive-bred fish are more expensive at first, that price always goes down. Back in the day, captive-bred clownfish were steep. But today, that price has just gone down, 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 down as breeders become more and more adept at breeding. Even beyond the morality of just, hey, just leave that fish in the ocean, captive bred fish are higher quality. Marine betas are a fish that might be pushing the limits of what a beginner can do, but they're still great fish and not too difficult. Marine betas need at least a 75-gallon aquarium, but you will be rewarded for your efforts by this beautiful fish. Fin of all, you'll notice that marine beta fish are absolute showstoppers. They are beautiful, all those white spots, and then that eye spot near its tail fin. However, this camouflage plays a practical purpose. These guys are mimics. These spots and this eye spot go to mimic moray eels. This is what the fish wants to look like to deter predators. And the beta will actually go into the rocks and pretend to be a moray eel with its tail fin sticking out. It's really an interesting behavior to watch. The marine beta, like most of the fish on this list, comes with a catch. They are reef safe with caution. And that basically means that they will not eat your corals, but they will eat your shrimp. They are in the same family as grouper fish and will eat anything that will fit in their mouth. What makes them acceptable for beginners is the fact that they're very hardy and they're not picky eaters. This is a result of them being captive bred. The wild-caught marine betas are far more difficult. That's why I only recommend doing the captive bred marine betas. ORA has begun a breeding program for coral beauty angelfish. Even the wild-caught coral beauties were not that difficult to keep and great beginner fish. The captive-bred coral beauties are even tougher. Despite having coral in your name, they are not reef safe. They're generally categorized as reef safe with caution, but most people who have actually kept them, myself included, disagree. I would not keep them with coral. They are notorious coral nippers and they will eat some polyps. For a beginner, they are a great fish that will accept most prepared foods and they're not overly aggressive to other fish. They will, however, fight other coral beauty angels or any other angel fish, so they should be the only angel in your tank. They're good size for beginners too, and can generally be kept in a 30-gallon aquarium. Captive-bred coral beauty angelfish are not as widely available as some of the other captive-bred fish on this list. However, the hunt is half the fun. But when you're looking at one in the pet store, you will need to ask because, you know, it's more likely going to be a wild-caught coral beauty than a captive-bred one. Boy, did I save the best for last. Neon dottybacks used to be too aggressive to keep. The only thing people could do was keep them with fish that were too big for them to bully. However, when ORA began breeding them, people noticed an additional bonus to this captive-bred fish. The captive-bred neon dottybacks were less aggressive than the wild-caught variants. They're still a mean fish. However, the captive-bred ones are not as mean. And they're a great fish. They're hardy, they're beautiful, and they're a good size. You can keep them in a 30-gallon aquarium. However, they are jumpers, and you will need a tightly fitting lid. Some people recommend keeping them in a 55-gallon, but I personally think 30 is fine. I mean, they only get 3 inches long. These guys compensate for being mean by being reef safe, beautiful, and by eating bristle worms. What more could you want in a fish? Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Those 3 things go a long way towards pleasing the YouTube gods. Thanks again. See you later. Bye-bye.